All right, here we go. The last lesson of the year, 13.6. And after this, you should be ready for your last chapter 13, the last test of the year. And yeah, should be all set to go. Congratulations. It's been a fun year. So we're going to talk about the law of cosines today. Law of sines was a way for us in the last chapter to use ratios of the sine of an angle over its side and using that to solve. And we're still going to use that as well. What this is kind of a variation of the Pythagorean theorem. If it's a 90-degree angle, we know that a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared, or however we want to say it. But what we have to do is when it's not a 90-degree angle in between, we have this little adjuster, and that part is the minus 2bc times the cosine of a. That's if we're trying to find side a. It kind of subtracts off a little bit if it's less than 90. If it's more than 90, it actually adds on a little piece, as we know that sides opposite smaller angles are smaller, so that's why it would be that for after a 90. So this is kind of a nice little formula to use, and it's very easy, very similar to the Pythagorean theorem, of course, and we can kind of show you how that works here. All right, so let's say that we had side A is 8, side B is 5, and the angle in between it, of course, is angle C, because that's across from side C. If we know those two angles and the side in between it, we can find that third side, okay, side C. And what we would do is we'd say, okay, we're going to go 8 squared. We'll just type it in as we go here. We just do 8 squared plus 5 squared. And then we're going to subtract 2 times 8 times 5. And we're going to multiply that by the cosine of 32.2 degrees. 0.2, there we are. Now, mind you, when we hit enter here, that is what c squared is. So what we want to do here is we want to then take the square root, and we might as well just do answer, and that way we don't have to round to the very end. So just take the square root of your answer, and you see that, again, round to the nearest tenth, we would see that side C would be 4.6. So now that we have all three sides, now if it says to solve the triangle, if you want to find a missing angle, you can go back and use the law of sines and use those ratios. And then, of course, reminder that once you know two angles, you can always find the third angle by seeing what's left to make it add to 180. So just add the two angles, subtract from 180. Okay, so that's if you know two sides and the angle in between, you can use it to find the third side. Law of cosines, very much like the Pythagorean theorem with that little adjuster, as I call it. All right, now the other part is, well, what if you know all three sides but wanted to find out what an angle is? Well, this is a variation of the law of cosines. In fact, a lot of times I'll refer to this as the law of cosines number 2. It's a second variation of it. By manipulating and solving for the angle, we can take the inverse cosine of a squared plus b squared minus c squared all over 2ab. Now, as we look here, if you're trying to find angle C, that's the side you subtract. These are the two sides that form the angle C as you get going. So it's very important that you put it in that fashion. Now again, if we were trying to find angle A, we would say 9 squared plus 7 squared minus 8 squared. So you got to be real careful on how you set that up. Now, as I do this, what I do on the calculator, because it's too much to put in all at once, is I'll figure out what the top is. So what I'll do is I'll go 8 squared plus 9 squared minus 7 squared, and we'll figure out what that is. That's going to be 96. Very good. And then on the bottom, we're just going to go 2 times 8 times 9, and we get that. So it's going to be, in the parentheses, it's going to be 96 over 144. So now what I can do is I can just do the inverse cosine. And what I'll do is take the top, which is 96. We're going to divide it by 144. And then that should give us the angle. And again, that's angle C, so 48.2. Now, once again, you can do the same thing to find, let's say if we wanted to find angle A, well, what we do is we do 9 squared plus 7 squared minus 8 squared, all over 2 times 9 times 7. Okay, remember, this is always the one that you're, the side across from the angle that you're trying to find. And you can use that. And once again, once you know the two angles, add them together and subtract from 180 to find the third. So, law of cosines. There's the original formula and the second variation there. Very nice. It's a good formula to use. Get some practice with that, and that'll be nice. And then one last thing. we're going to talk about what's called Heron's formula. This is yet another way of finding the area of a triangle. Now, this is kind of an interesting one. We're going to, first of all, find the perimeter by adding all the three sides. And now the S in the formula is half the perimeter. So add them all up, divide by 2, that's your S. So in this formula, you're going to take the half perimeter and you're going to multiply it. Just take each of the sides subtracted from that, multiply it together, take the square root. Okay, here's how it works. Garden has a triangular flower bed. Sides are 2, 6, and 7. What's the area if it's a triangular flower bed? Well, here's what you do. We're going to add up all the sides. 2 plus 6 is 8, plus 7 is 15. Half of that is 7.5. That's S. So there's the 7.5. Now what we do is we take each of the sides and subtract it from 7.5. So we get 5.5, 1.5, and 0.5. So let's type that in the calculator. Here we go, second square root, and type it in just as you see it here. 7.5 times 5.5. All right, times 1.5. And then times 0.5. All right, we got all that. We're good to go. Bada bing, bada boom. There it is. Looks like our area is going to be 5.6 square yards. It's just that easy, guys. Type in the formula and you got it. All right, so today, law of cosines and then Heron's formula. Get some practice with the worksheet. Check them. Always email me if there's any questions on some stuff, and I can always usually get back to you really quickly. And then once you're all done with that, again on Wednesday, we'll have the last test of the year, and once you're done with that, we're all done, guys. So make sure to go back, double check that you've got all your quizzes. Make sure you have ones in the grade book for all that and that you passed all those. If not, retake them. But again, good luck on that chapter test. Again, as always, it's been a pleasure. Good luck to you. Hopefully we'll see you next fall. Stop by and say hi. And, good luck to you. And again, if you ever need anything, email me. All right, and for now, I'm Mr. Moon.